welcome to this edition of Pop and Scott Talk Baseball. Well into the off season now. I mean, what are we, a month removed from the World Series and in between Thanksgiving and Christmas?
And that's the end of our show, folks, because we had nothing to talk about.
A lot of rumors.
Oh, yeah, the rumors are crazy. That's the fun part. That's the fun part, to look at this stuff. And it's like any of these professional sports. All the general managers like to throw out smoke screens trying to fool the other guy.
Right. And then on the Ohtani deal, you don't know what's going on because nobody's allowed to say anything. They're
not allowed to say anything. We have found out a few people have backed out.
Right.
The Rangers have backed out. The Yankees have backed out. The Mets have backed out.
The Mets have signed. They're signing some depth right now.
They signed some bullpen guys.
They signed a couple bullpen guys. They signed a utility man from the Rays, which is weird because they had Guillermo, who can. I know I said it very poorly. Guillermo could play all positions in the infield, primarily second and third. And he can handle the bat. He goes in spurts, but they let him go. And I don't know if this guy's cheaper or what. They are now in the rumor mill of Soto trade. It sounds like the Yankees and Padres stalled in their discussion.
Well, the problem, the Yankees don't want to give up their number one pitching prospect in the minors. That's where they stalled it.
Which is smart because a decent pitcher is better than Soto, and I'm not meaning that as in on the field per se, head to head, but pitching is such a premier thing right now.
It's been that way since the beginning of the game. The pitching is the most important part of the game. Starting pitching used to be the most important. Now it's the bullpen, but still you have to have starters to get to the bullpen.
Right.
I found out today, looking at some Baltimore Orioles stuff, that they are putting together a package, and they're going to try to trade to the Marlins for one of their young starters, maybe make an offer on him. He's got 3 years left, before he hits free agency. They're looking into dealing Cease with the White Sox, but Cease, the problem with Cease is they get him for 1 year and then he can go free agent.
Right.
So if they can get this young kid from Miami, or there's a youngster in Detroit who has 3 years left, where he can't before he can go to free agency. There's a young man in Detroit, and they're looking at both of them to put together a trade package for them.
And that does not surprise me because Baltimore is just loaded in the minors. I don't know where they rank in prospects, but they got to be a top 3 prospect team. I mean, they have to.
I saw where last year, not prospects, but their minor league system was ranked number 1 at the end of this regular season.
It does not surprise me.
Now the prospects is a little different. I think the Cincinnati Reds and somebody else, I think it's 1, 2, and Baltimore's 3, I think.
Right. Back to the Mets real quick because it just entered my mind. It looks like they're signing Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s little brother.
Oh yeah, I saw
the other Vlad Guerrero.
Yeah.
I guess everybody in their family's named Vlad Guerrero. He's got a different middle name though.
Yeah. That's like George Foreman. 6 boys named All George. They asked him, "Why'd you name All George?" He said, "Because when I hollered, I wanted one of them to make sure he came."
That's right. And left-handed hitting, built like his brother as a young man. So we'll see. I saw some highlights of him taking a batting practice, and interesting. Very young and very raw. But back to the the Orioles. Yeah, the Orioles, they just churn them out. I mean, they got, they could probably put a package together and still keep 2 of probably their top guys. in the minors. I mean, that's how loaded they are to get anybody they want. At first, I thought you were going to say Soto, which I was like, oh, good grief. But I'm right there.
Well, no, Soto, they asked, San Diego asked for 9 players, 9 prospects, Yankees, and one of them was their top pitcher, and they said no. So now everything's on hold. And now I believe they're talking to, I just saw it. And they're talking to, I know Ohtani, a new team's jumped into that fray, and that's Toronto. So they might be Soto. They might be putting together a package for Soto. I don't know.
Well, the Padres are in a situation where they don't have to trade him. They don't, they've even came out and said, we're more than happy to keep him. He was their best player. Him and Tatis were their best players last year.
Exactly.
Everybody wanted to down Soto, and you look at his numbers. His first half wasn't all that great, but his second half, he was among the best. But he's playing in San Diego. Nobody knows.
And you look at his on-base percentage, it's extremely high because he walks so much.
Yeah, he has one of the best eyes in baseball. So, I mean, you might not like all the stuff he does in the box and all of that stuff, but, as a Soto fan, I mean, that's just how he is. You don't want him to
That's
change.
the way he is. You said it before, son. Those Latin players are like that. They're very demonstrative, and that's what they do. And, I mean, if you don't like what he does, get him out.
Yep.
Send him back to the dugout. You don't have to worry about it.
I bet you if he's on your team, you love what he does.
Oh, yeah. When he was on Washington, I loved every minute of it. And I see somebody else do it on the other team, and I say, throw that bum out of there.
Yeah, it's just, I've talked about it. I would love to get somebody in their 20s on here with us this offseason, just to have 3 generations of how they see the game when it comes to stuff like that. You grew up in an era of basically no nonsense. The unwritten rules were the rules. I mean, I grew up in similar, kind of straddled the you hit a gapper in mid-season, you jog to second. You don't sprint to try to go to third, right? That's what people hated about Harper. It was just some unwritten rules that the fans really don't know about, why players kind of get labeled certain ways.
Well, I mean, if you have a
a lot of it's gone now.
If a guy has a no-hitter, there's an unwritten rule. You don't try to bunt for a base hit.
Right, late in the game. Right. Or like you're way up and a pitcher is just trying to throw strikes. You don't try to hit bombs like Tatis did off a positional player at that. But Tatis is like, well, you're throwing pitches. What am I supposed to do? He apologized, but I didn't think he had anything to apologize for.
No, I mean, here again, get him out.
The next time he came up,
you're going to pitch the shortstop, then expect it.
Right. And I understand why teams, why that happens. That's almost, you kind of wish they had the slaughter rules that they have in Little League. But, they can't because guys want their stats, their stat builder games. So that's the reason why a lot of times, and the way today's baseball is, you're up 8 runs. It's not over with till the last out. I mean, look at what Diamondbacks did in the playoffs. They didn't come back from 8 runs, but they damn near came close against the Dodgers or no Philly when Philly blew them out in the first 6 innings, and then they came back on them.
Yeah. Well, see, one other thing, we got plenty of, we don't have anything specific to talk about.
Nope.
One of the things that's really bothered me in the last few years, and this is in all sports, is the fundamentals.
Right.
I mean, people, I don't know who's coaching them, and I don't know how they're coaching them, but I'll just use this as an example. Base running. This is what we were taught. This is the way I taught when I was coaching. You watched the ball till you couldn't see it.
Right.
Then you looked at the third base coach, and he told you what to do. Now, these guys are running around the bases. They don't look at the third base. They're turning. They're like in that gal in The Exorcist, spinning their head all the way around on their body, trying to see the ball in the right field corner so they know what to do. They all do it. Nobody looks at the third base coach. Oh, he ran through the sign. Well, he hasn't looked at the third base coach since they got in the dugout before the game. Why should he look at him now?
Right.
I mean, I sit there and I go, what are you doing? And these guys, there's a long fly ball to left field, and the guy flips the bat, and he walks down the first base line, and the ball hit the wall.
Right.
Now he's got a 390-foot single. If I was the manager, Slim Pickens would be sitting next to me right now. There'd be a pinch runner in the game. That would not fly with the old man, because that you just didn't do that. You hit the ball, you ran hard until somebody told you to stop.
To be fair, the Detroit Tigers coach took Javi Baez into the dugout and had a word with him, at least in the tunnel, and he benched him the rest of that game.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying they don't do that. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That thing.
Most of the time, that
drives me nuts.
Here's when the unwritten rules come in. So every team probably has some form of kangaroo court where the players take care of that situation for not hustling. Manny Machado faced that with the Orioles and the Dodgers, that type of stuff, but they take care of it in-house. You don't hear about it. That stuff doesn't get out to the press because they don't want it to get out. They want to be a happy, cohesive unit. So those type of things. But yeah, you're 100% correct. But it's been like that ever since I was a kid. I remember watching games or going to games with you, and you get mad because outfielders caught balls with one hand.
Oh yeah.
Old Barry Bonds used to do the old snap catch, and that drove you crazy because you knew there was kids like me watching games, and you didn't want us to pick up bad habits from watching those games. So
that coached you guys in Little League, and I would hit the fungos to the outfield. I told everybody, you're playing for me, you're going to catch with two hands. Make sure that other hand's up there. When you get to Yankee Stadium, you can catch with one hand all day long. I don't care. But while you're playing for me, you're going to catch with two hands. I saw it. I saw it, son, all the games I watched this summer. I saw it about, I'd say maybe a half a dozen times where a guy did the one-handed snag in the outfield and he dropped the ball. I mean, I don't care if it only happens to your team one time a year. If that game you lose that game because of that play, and that costs you one position in the standings, and you might not make the playoffs,
right?
Because some guy was going to be cute out there in the outfield,
right?
I mean,
I even had my high school baseball coach. If we didn't pick the ball up off the ground, a ball sitting still to throw it to somebody, whatever. If we didn't pick it up with two hands every time, we had to run wind sprints.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
One person and makes everybody do wind sprints. I mean, it didn't matter who you were on our team. It was, so we were all, it became, at the beginning, we thought he was joking until we had to do it the first few times. And then he didn't have to do it anymore. We all were yelling at each other after that.
Exactly. So. I mean, all you have to do, all the coach has to do is punish the whole team one time. You'll get after the guy that's making the mistakes.
Yeah. And I mean,
these kids nowadays, they're so athletic. It's a different game just because of the athletics, how athletic they are. They're bigger, stronger, faster. But there's certain fundamentals. If you don't do them right, you're going to cost your team ball games. Like, there's such a thing as a cutoff man.
Right.
And they throw past cutoff mans. They throw to the wrong base. We talked about that subject. The game they lost in the playoffs where the pitcher forgot how many outs it was and threw the ball to first instead of the second to get a double play.
I mean, my nephew, your grandson, we went and watched many of his baseball games in a league where fundamentals were not taught.
At all.
They didn't know cutoff men. They didn't know. I mean, the coach was yelling if it's pitched inside to hit it, pull it. If it's thrown outside, to hit the opposite way, which is nice. But maybe a 9-year-old, just tell him to hit it first.
Yeah.
wasn't two hands, pitching, batting. My nephew, poor kid, every year had a new coach telling him a new way to hit. No consistency whatsoever. But that's how they're taught. And the better you are, the less you were taught, right? You're going to let the good kid do what he wants to do because you don't want to mess up the good kid. And then you try to fix the other kid, and then you're just putting more stuff in his head instead of just doing the basics with everybody and drilling the basics into their head. So I think that's where we're at now. I just remember when we were growing up, everybody two-handed, brought it up to your chest, good throws. I just think when I was a kid, and I'm going, I get off my lawn here in a minute. I am 52 now. I can do that. We were taught fun, and I didn't always have you as a coach. I had other coaches too,
Exactly.
But even then, I had a realtor that was a coach that knew fundamentals.
Well, he had Vic Falk.
And but he was Vic got, Vic was Vic. Vic was awesome. He helped me with catching stuff. He was a sports writer, so he got to pick brains of guys that we couldn't talk to. So, I don't know if I grew up at a right time or what, but with kids playing year-round baseball and travel ball, I don't think fundamentals is coached as much as ways to make it to the big time are coached more, right? Hitting, putting the ball in the air. That's why we're seeing people, people can't bunt because everybody's playing the major leagues was probably the third or fourth place batter on their team growing up. High school, travel ball, they won't ask to bunt. And then you got a guy that's throwing 100 with movement trying to bunt. They just can't. It's a lost art. We talk about it all the time. And I just think coaching has changed to more of progressing the child to get a huge paycheck one day or NCAA or whatever. Now, when we watch NCAA games, those kids, those young men are taught fundamentals. We watch good fundamentals when we watch NCAA games. I don't get to see much high school games anymore, but I'm hoping at that level they're taught too. But poor high school coaches just don't get paid, especially baseball. It's just a sport we play in the spring. So I'm hoping that they do, but it just seems like that's the way it feels to me. I mean, Tony that we worked with together at our job there when we worked together there in Virginia. I mean, he was telling me he taught kids how to hit, and he was a great pitcher himself. The game changed when he was telling me, we tell them to get the ball in the air to get rise on it because home runs is where it's at.
Yeah, we taught to swing and try to hit down on the ball. If you hit it on the ground, make somebody field it.
He made a great point. He goes, you watch any great hitters and see how many of them have level or down swings. And he was exactly right, but they were great hitters. You're teaching teenagers.
And kids.
We'll find out if they're great hitters later.
I had dads come to me and when their kids weren't hitting and say, well, can you help him with his hitting? And the first thing they wanted me to do was change their stance. Well, unless it was something stupid, I told them, first thing you got to be is comfortable. If you're not comfortable, you're not going to be able to hit or do anything. So you have to be, once you get comfortable, I can help you. I mean, I helped one boy, he kept stepping we used to call it the bucket. Mm-hmm. And I finally got him to where when his stride was to the.
So that means he was taking his front foot and stepping towards the third base coaching box.
Towards the third baseman. So the call is stepping in the bucket. And when you do that, the bat can't cover the outside of the plate because when you bring it through, the ball is, unless it's an inside pitch, you're not going to hit it. So I taught the child to step towards the pitcher. Now, this is a little league. And I taught him how to step towards the pitcher. And after that,
I remember that because you put a bat behind his feet so
Yeah.
he couldn't step back.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
and
I set it out to the side where if he stepped in the bucket, he stepped on the bat.
right.
And then I had another boy to back up. And that's the one I put the bat behind because he wanted to step instead of just keeping his back foot planted and lifting his front leg or not lifting it at all. He would step back with his back foot, and then he was all out of whack. So
Yeah, that was Elk's 8, 9-year-olds.
Yeah.
The picture that y'all see at the beginning of this show, that's from that season.
Yep.
I remember that very well. Because I mean, when I coached, you were doing 8, 9-year-olds. That was the last year you head coached. Was when I was 9. No, 9, 10-year-olds. Yeah, 9, 10-year-olds.
9, 10-year-old when I was
11 and 12 when I went up to the bigger field, or not the bigger field, the longer fence, the actual little league field. That's when you started your new job, and I had to.
Yeah, I got laid off at Brown and Williamson, and I was looking for jobs and doing it. So I couldn't coach full time because I couldn't be there. So I was an assistant coach for a few years.
Yeah, helped out when you could. And I reason why I'm saying that because I got to coach the kids day one that they stepped on the big field, so I had to teach them reteaching baseball. They knew the bases are the same, the rules are the same, except for leading off and all that stuff. So I had fun. I got to teach baseball. I loved it, and man, that was. I wish I could do that. I wish my job allowed me to do that. Loved it. I think I loved coaching those 4 years more than I did playing any of those years. To see a kid play better at the end. I actually had 2 kids that got cut in tryouts actually make the team the following year on the high school team. So I was proud of that. Made me feel good. A little pat on my back.
I remember coaching one year. I don't remember the little guy's name, but he didn't get a hit the whole season. In the last game of the year, he swung with everything he had, hit a line drive to the center field, and didn't run. And his mom was sitting over there, run! We were all hollering at him to run. That was so funny. He finally ran to first, and he was so happy because he finally got a hit.
Right.
I mean, that's the kind of stuff that makes you feel good. I mean,
yeah.
There's too much emphasis on winning and losing. You
right.
know, come on, just play the game. The runs aren't important. It's if the children play the game right, it doesn't matter whether they win or lose on the scoreboard. Because if they play the game right and do it right, they've already won, no matter what the score is.
And I want to give a nod though to anybody that takes time out of their day to coach, to dedicate, to give their time in any type of coaching. I'm not trying to say y'all are all wrong or whatever. I 100% appreciate it. When you do that, you're really helping out the community, kids. Sports really builds a foundation for anybody on leadership, how to help each other, because no team is as good as the guy that's at the end of the bench. I can tell you, I've always said that. You're only as good as the next man down. It don't matter how good your best player is, and you got to work as a team, and it helps out in building, just building a person.
It builds character.
It does. That builds character. It does a lot of plus. People miss that, and I don't care what type of child you are. You should play a couple of seasons of sports. I don't want to make any kid go out there and do it against their will, but you know what I'm saying? Like need to go.
There's other things too. There's other things they can get into. I've been teaching for 13 years. I've been teaching kids at church for 13 years, and I mentor 4th and 5th grade. We have a leadership team, and that's my job. One of them is to mentor those kids and teach them how to be leaders. And we suspend. I've got several children that girls are in dance class or cheerleading class. Boys and girls are in taking martial arts. A lot of them on the swim team. And I mean, it's so they're participating in something.
Right.
instead of just sitting on their rear ends looking at a computer screen or a TV or a phone. They're out doing something. And I'm proud of the fact that most of those kids that I do teach, almost all of them are involved in something else besides just, being home.
And you're exactly right. And I mean, we're getting a little off topic, but we kind of went down this road. Again, if you're a parent that gives any of your time, I mean, even if you're a parent driving your kids to these practices or, whatever it is, violin, cello, whatever, I could, congratulations.
And support the coaches and the teachers. Support them.
Yeah.
Let them know that they're doing a good job because, I coached and I do what I do now just because I love it. But it's nice when somebody comes up to me and says, hey, you're doing a good job here.
Right.
Or my son says you're doing a good job. That makes you feel good. I mean, I don't need it, but it makes you feel good. Right. And any coach out there that gives up his time to coach in Little League or a lady that coaches in Little League, and one of Mason's best coaches was a woman. Mm-hmm. And that year that they went to up at Randolph-Macon and played in that tournament up there.
Well, I mean, the person that taught me soccer was a woman coach.
Yeah.
My soccer coach.
Yeah,
that was foreign to all of us when it came to our town. That was a foreign sport.
Quick little story about that. I've been coaching baseball, and the rec department called me on the phone and said, Mike, we're going to start something new. This was in the 70s. And we're going to start something new. And I said, what? And we're going to start a soccer league. We want you to coach one of the teams. I said, really? I've never played soccer. I've seen it on TV a few times. We had soccer balls in high school, but we never played.
No Google machine to look it up.
No, I mean, and they said, well, we need coaches. We're just getting started. So, me being an idiot, I said, yes. So I went to the library and got 2 books on soccer, read both books, went to first soccer practice, and the lady showed up, and her son came, and I noticed he had his accent was like from New Jersey or New York, little kid. So I said, you're not from around here, are you? Because I figured right away his dad had to be at Fort Lee in the Army. Right. Sure enough, he was from New Jersey, and his dad was in the Army. Well, his mom was from Germany. And I asked her, I said, is there any way that you could – did you play soccer when you were in school in Germany? Because I figured everybody in Europe did. She said, oh, yeah, we played. She said, I even played some in college. And I said, is there any way you can help me coach? So she became my assistant that first year. And then real quick, she took a team the next year because we were expanding. More kids wanted to play. She took a team next year and beat me for the championship. I still loved her, but I never forgave her.
Yeah, that was some fun times playing that.
Oh,
I actually, as a big guy, I kind of was decent at that sport.
Well, the thing about soccer that I liked is if in Little League Baseball, if you had a real good pitcher,
everybody
the game was the pitcher and the catcher because they were just throwing the ball back and forth because nobody could hit because the guy was too dominating, like Randy Dorman. Nobody, he just stood there and threw the ball to the catcher, and the catcher threw it back to him. But in soccer, everybody got a chance to play.
Right.
That's what I liked about that.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to baseball real quick. The Mets didn't they sign Maeda? No, Minnesota had him, didn't they? He went to the Tigers.
Severino is who the Mets.
No, Severino went to the Mets. That's right. Luis Severino. He was a Yankee.
Yeah, so they got a pitcher from the Yankees and their coaches from the Yankees.
Right. And then the Maeda, I think he was with Minnesota. He signed a 2-year contract with the Tigers.
Okay.
So
Mets and Yankees look like they're in a battle for the Japanese
Yamamoto. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be between them two and possibly the Dodgers, but the Dodgers are going to back up the Brinks truck for Shohei. So
the Mets are also trying to get the other pitcher, the older one, as well. If they get them two, Severino with Senga, I mean, I don't. It's a wait and see because those Japanese pitchers, I feel like we got lucky with Senga, to tell you the truth. He pitched the whole year, Didn't miss a start. Had a very, very good season. I mean, second to only Dwight Gooden's rookie season for the Mets. So that's pretty good company.
Well, and then the Marlins signed Gabe Kapler to their front office.
Good.
So he went out of work long.
Yeah, but I mean, he just doesn't. I don't know what that means for them. I don't know because he's another guy. He's just a different person.
He's not a real people person, but he's one of those analytic guys, and that'll help him with their front office. He's not going to be in the dugout with the players. So,
right.
And I mean, he got let go in Philadelphia, and he got let go in San Francisco. Of course, the Giants, I have no idea what they're doing because they just don't do much to improve that team.
And they were in contention. I mean, at the end of the year, I mean, they were right there the whole year.
They just didn't have enough to get over the hump.
Yeah.
And the other thing about my Nationals,
and I you don't hear anything, but I guarantee you they're in the bidding for Shohei.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. And the other thing is this: the Nationals, they still have not. They put the sale of the team on hold in March and said they were going to try do it at the end of the year. Well, now it's the end of the year is long gone. Right. I mean, we're heading to Christmas and it's still on hold. So they're in the same boat.
With no big contracts.
They can't do anything because they don't have the ownership. The ownership they have now is not going to back any big contracts because they're getting out of Dodge. So you have to wait till the new guy comes in to find out, or the new people come in.
You don't want any big that's the Angels' issues. You don't want any big contracts so you can make the sale.
So who knows what, they might be in the same boat they were this year. And because he hadn't made it, he can't make up his mind for some reason. And the only thing he did say was, again, he said he's not going to sell the Capitals. He's keeping the Capitals, and he's still on hold for selling them. Because if you put them up for sale, somebody buy them.
Well, hockey, man, if you got a money-making team like he does, with that salary cap, a hard salary cap,
right?
I mean, and they sell out every game. Every game's already sold out for the season.
Yeah, try to get a ticket.
Yeah. I mean, it's just they're just printing money there. So baseball's a little tougher with the longer season, but they still are one of the best, even on losing record, and they like at 19,000 in the seats for weekend games.
Yeah, well, I in an earlier show, I believe it was they had the same. It was 20. They averaged 25,000, and they had the same as I think it was Arizona. I'm not sure, but there was another team that was doing.
Well, Arizona's attendance is piss poor.
And another team that was, that was playing well, but their attendance, Washington's attendance matched it. So,
right.
I mean, it's, I watched them on TV, but it was sad sometimes sitting there watching them. They were not in the class of the other team, but they played so hard. Sometimes they'd come up and win one or two of them.
Yeah.
They played so hard. Those kids played their hearts out.
Yeah. And that's, like I said, they knew they're playing for their next contract, either with Washington or somebody else. So that's how young they were. A lot of them were in their first contracts, first major league contracts.
Well, the winter meetings start today. They start today, and the word is, now here again, it might just be a rumor, but the word is that before the winter meetings are done, we'll probably know who Shohei Ohtani is going to.
Well,
and once his domino falls, the rest will fall.
Right, that's what I was going to say. To be selfish, the way we are, you kind of want that to happen. I'm a Mets fan. He's not going there, or Baltimore, but I still want to see where everybody else wants to go. I want to see what teams are doing. You want to see what's going on. Because I want to see what Philly's going to do in the offseason. What are they going to do?
Well, they got rid of one of the
win that last game to get to the World Series.
They got rid of their red jerseys. They're not going to use them this year. That was one of the big stories coming out of Philadelphia, that the Phillies were
I
not
haven't
going to
heard that, but I'm
they weren't
sure.
going to wear they're not going to wear the red jerseys at home anymore. I don't know
Uh,
the significance of that. I have no idea, but that was the big story.
so is that the burgundy-ish
No,
one,
no, no,
like
the
the
red.
throwback? Okay,
No,
okay,
the red one with the
I got you.
Phillies in white script across the
I
front.
got you. Yeah,
You're not going to wear that anymore.
those teams that I want to see what the Dodgers do. So Shohei needs to come off the board to see what the Dodgers are going to do. I want to see what the Giants are going to do. Teams that were so close. I want to see what the Padres are going to do. Really interested in what the Padres are going to do.
Well, I like to know where Snell is going to go, and there's a few of the pitchers,
Right.
The Yankees and Orioles and different teams are trying to get the Mets. They're trying to get them, and we'll just find out where they wind up.
Right. I know Montgomery is on the radar of a lot of teams too, from the Rangers.
Right, he's in the radar for a bunch of teams, but he hadn't come right out and said it, but his agent is hinting to the fact that he would really like to go back to the Rangers because he liked playing there.
Well, I think a lot of that's a beautiful. Well, it's a beautiful area too. That
the Dallas Metroplex.
Yeah, the Dallas, Fort Worth, Arlington area there. It's just I've been there a couple times. It's a beautiful area.
Yeah, they call it the Metroplex. I flew in and out of the Fort Worth airport.
Yeah,
going to Mexico.
It's that everything you want. I don't think that anywhere in Texas, I don't think the cost of living is terrible there. So they probably get a little bit more out of that dollar than they would if they
and
that kills a lot of California teams.
I'm not sure, but they may be one of the states that doesn't have a state tax.
They might, because that's what kills a lot of players don't want to play in California or Canada because of that.
Well, the state tax in California is the gross national product of Guatemala.
Right.
I mean, the taxes in California are astronomical.
Right.
I mean, I've always said, California, love them, but it's a good place to be from.
Right. Well, Dad, let's end it on that.
Well, next week,
we
ought to have some stuff to talk about. But I mean, I had fun. Look, this was fun. This was just fun talking about when you were a kid. And, we used to. I had a blast coaching those kids. You and the sheriff.
Yeah.
The sheriff of the town, I coached him when he was a kid. I mean, he was one of your best friends, and that's it meant a lot to me. I had a blast.
We're in the holiday season, and if you got any young ones out there, get them a wiffle ball bat and a ball, and see if they want to go in the backyard and knock around some. Just
there you go.
Where they're at. So until next time, like, share. Again, thank you to our channel's growing. I love it. Or this actual show is growing in my channel. Thank all of y'all for watching. If you have any comments, suggestions, tell us that we're foolish. I don't care. Let us know down below. Until next time, see ya.